For the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you a bit of a review on a kind of new tent from Vango. So here today I've got the Vango Tahoe. So Tahoe is available in two different sizes. We've got a 400 and also a 500. And it kind of, I say new, it almost replaces a model that was kind of in Vango's range from the previous years, which would be things like the Cragmore. So it's designed to be something that's small, compact, something you can stand up in. Without necessarily being too expensive, and that's kind of I think where it's a bit of sweet spot in kind of Vango's range with that. So some key things to talk about really in terms of the actual tent itself. It's actually what we call like a conventional dome tent. It's got two poles cross over in the main centre, and then obviously one for the front section as well. They are colour coordinated as well to make it easier to pitch, and you can see from our own Attwoolls pitching and packing video, I think it took me in the best part of about 10 or so minutes to pitch, so ideal for weekends, or if you want to go for something a bit longer. Of course, it works really well. For me, I really quite like it as almost like a little kind of festival tent or something small that works really well. The more important thing is actually the ability to physically stand up in it again, which is definitely one of its plus points in terms of its overall pitch size. The poles are also color coordinated, so you can make sure you know what pole is going in the right place. So the main kind of hub, if we want to call it that, has just two solid black poles, crossover, the same size, you haven't got to worry about that. And obviously there'll be one slightly smaller one with a grey section in the middle. Now that's got a little grey tab on the sleeve, and that helps you to identify what pole goes where. The key thing is Vango's actually really homed in on actually the specification of the Tahoe, and in terms of the fabric itself, we have gone up a level really. So now what actually Vango have done is they've actually created this kind of blended weave fabric. So the best way of describing it is almost they've tried to have something that's a bit more durable without having to add too much weight. So what we've actually got is a blend between a 75 denier, 100 denier sort of yarn, which gives you a much more thicker fabric. Again, helps to give a bit more longevity as well. It's hard to determine because it's such a new material and how much longer it would last and how much more durable it will last. But certainly from the overall kind of fill and material, and also just the weightage of it. So the weight's about 87 grams per square meter. Whereas you compare it to say like their lower range spec that runs about a 68D and about 72 grams, so it is a little bit lighter. So again, from a longevity point of view, you will get a bit more out of this. What also Vango have done is it still use their kind of eco lock technology. What essentially this is we're solution dyeing or dyeing the yarn before it's woven into material. The importance of this really is because we use a different analogy between a carrot and a radish. When you cut both in half, your carrot has colour all the way through, whereas your radish has colour on the outside and the white and centre. So when a tent is on the and it's exposed to kind of UV sunlight, it happens to strip around that outer coating and means it looks a lot more tired and faded. So this also actually helps save water in the dyeing process as well. So it's a little bit more eco-friendly, hence that kind of eco colour lock. And also it's got a UPF rating of 50 plus as well. So again, that helps on the whole. But I think the new kind of deep blue colour, I think it looks really quite sharp. We've got a sort of two-tone at the bottom, little footer that works really well. Two obviously big windows located at the front of the Tahoe to get a light in, but also you then also got a privacy curtain, which you can obviously opt to have that as and when you wanted to. But for me, like I said, the height aspect of it. So it's available in two different sizes, be it the 400 or the 500. In terms of the overall height between two sizes, I think the 400 is about 190 versus 195. It's not a huge amount in that. It's really the width you see the difference. So you gain one about 60 centimeters in the width. So yeah, again, that you can utilize that as you wanted to. We've got a ground sheet that comes supplied with it. It's pre-attached to the inner tent itself and actually sort of toggles and clips in place. There is a little bit of an overlap, so it's not actually a sewn-in ground sheet, but it gives you the option that actually, if you was in rainy weather, you can actually almost roll that back, and this front section becomes a bit like a kind of wet dry area because with a slightly sloping door, rain's always naturally to come directly in. So when you're at the back where the sleeping compartment is, and we'll bring the camera around a little bit later, you'll be able to see that a bit more in total. The front door actually has mesh built into it as well. So with the front door, what you can either do is you can either enclose it as you expect. There are eyelets located in the corners, so you can buy some smaller king poles, or they do some like fiberglass poles, 130 centimeters tall. So you can then bring that out to give yourself a little bit more of a canopy. Obviously you can take it up and down as you want to do, but more importantly, when you there's a full mesh sort of window / door built into it. So if we were to sit this directly down, well, get myself all trapped up. And then what you can do is the zips go directly to point. So then you've got the full mesh part there as well, and that can then roll up. So really you've got great vision. Obviously you've got a bug barrier really for night time if you've got a light on the inside. But you've got the flexibility to kind of, like I said, do what you want with it really. And so we'll roll that away. With the actual tent itself, other sort of big nice changes that they've increased the size of the windows in comparison to the previous version. You've also got the pegging points are a little bit different on this as well. So you've got like a webbing strap pegging point, and what Vango do is they give you kind of color coordinated pegs. So it means you can basically peg that directly into there. So again, a bit more oversized, a bit stronger. Pack size is really quite nice and decent as well. So it comes in a nice oversized bag. You've also got the ability to obviously wide of mouth, you can put it in there, and there is some compression straps as well to keep it nice and neatly in there. So again, pack size isn't too bad at all. We got a nice midnight dark bedroom. So again, the bedroom itself is a little bit darker than it was previously. We've got storage pockets built into that as well. This front pole also has Vango's kind of what they call TBS system, so sensor detention band. It's like an internal guiding system for when you get sort of a bit more windier weather. Helps leave a bit more structure to the front part of the tent. So you wouldn't probably utilise most of the time, but it's there if you need it. So you have wind coming in from one direction. That kind of keeps it bounce and braces and just adds a bit more structure to it. And like I say, it's really just if you're leaving the tent for a period of time or the wind picks up, you'd pop those in. Not from a practical sense, but just more from a security point of view, really. In fact, let's bring the camera in and just have a bit more of a better, closer look for it. So like inside, you can see now we've got that sort of darker bedroom itself. I mean, the height is mainly in the main body here. So I'm about 6'2", and if I'll be honest, I can just about stand up in that centre section. When you go obviously for the 500, it's going to be a little bit taller and obviously wider as well. We've got one single inner bedroom, so it's one big open space. Also, you've got a nice dark fabric and a door, which quite neatly sort of folds into a little pocket on the side. We've got ventilation points at the top here as well to help airflow, and that kind of marries up with ventilation points we've got located at the back as well. We've got storage pockets built into the unit, so we can use that things for keys, phones, that sort of stuff to kind of make it a bit more, you can store things quite happily in there as well. There's a hanging point for a lantern if need be, located in the top section of the main bedroom. And yeah, it toggles in. For me, I would probably, when you first get the tent, probably toggle the bedroom in and then leave it in place. You haven't got to take it out every single time. It helps just generally pitching it as well, because it gives you a kind of a bit more of a shape, a pre-funk shape to it. But in fact, let's bring the camera in. Decent sort of depth to the bedroom itself. You can see is what we're talking about with the toggle, the sort of overlap. So it feels a bit like a Sony ground sheet, but you've got a designated overlap there. Curtains on the inside, so you can still get obviously visibility through the window, but it kind of helps to give that feel. And like I said, because this part is sewn directly in here, what you do is sort of just roll that back and then tuck it almost underneath the main body of the bedroom, just to kind of again make that sort of front section a bit more of just a sheltered area. Storage pockets located down the side, as previously mentioned, but you can see how kind of dark it is. And we've got a rear ventilation point directly at the top, hanging point for a lantern as well. So again, it's a decent sort of size. I mean, like I said, even though you physically can stand up in the centre of the bedroom, that front section, obviously, where you can see it kind of comes down a little bit. But for me, I just kind of like how the new colour of the fabric, how it looks. Those larger windows work really well. And you've got high visibility guide points as well, just to give you extra tension. Ventilation point located at the back as well, and obviously the toggle points are located on there as well. So I think a nice update in terms of the fabric. I think that's one thing you can truly tell is when you got to the thickness of the fabric. That's one thing I think you can probably really kind of notice is the touch, the feel of it, obviously with that kind of the way the material is dyed. It is a lot of sort of extra points I think that works really well. Flexibility, I think again the deep blue colour in general is really quite nice, and definitely kind of the matching curtains, be it in that kind of abstract, what you call that one, it's like a pattern that varies something a bit different. But it's a solid model, and I think again for someone who wants to go away for a weekend or a festival, chuck a load of people in there, or scouts. I think again that'd be a really nice one, and you're not sort of bending over every single time when you want to get changed in the morning. So again, I think something that Jenny was really popular in this style in the previous season. So I think going forward, the Tahoe looks really well. For more information, of course, on things like pack sizes, floor dimensions, that sort of stuff, you're welcome to check the link below this video. It'll take you straight through to our website. We've got all the information located there and the specifications as well. But it's always good to have feedback from you guys as well, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. But on the whole, that's kind of our little video review on the Tahoe in the 400 and also the 500. I've also got the 400 on display with me here and going through the video, but everything I have mentioned is exactly the same for the larger model. But I think for me, I like the design of it. Again, for me, it works. It's small, it's compact, it works. You've got the ventilation point on the front. There's a lot of features in here that you probably wouldn't get in an equivalent model from a different brand. Let alone the upgrade of the fabric. The 4,000mm high straight head, so again, is a bit heavier waterproof rating than something you find in even Vango's smaller ranges. Plus the fact that you've got that 50 plus UPF rating as well. So again, a bit more sun protection. So yeah, hopefully it's been helpful, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon in our next Attwoolls Outdoors video review.